You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your new favorite podcast for everything Bills and Sabres. What's going on, everybody? You're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast, your favorite podcast for all things Bills and Sabres. Jake, what the hell is so funny?
No,
over there.
nothing.
Episode 73, folks. Great to see y'all again. We took a little bit of a holiday hiatus here that we didn't plan on initially, therefore didn't tell you about, but the three of us had a board meeting via text and said, we're going to take a little breather here. So great to be back with y'all. Like I said, episode 73. Make sure you follow us on the socials. Y'all know the drill. We're on all of them. Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, you name it. We're probably on it. I think the only one we're not on right now is Blue Sky, which is the new Twitter thing. You guys have even heard of Blue Sky?
Blue Sky.
Yeah, dude. So we're not on that one yet. I don't need another spot where I'm mindlessly scrolling for more sports information. So we'll probably stay off that one, at least for a little bit. But hey, let's get around and say hello to my friends here. Tommy, what's going on, brother?
Happy New Year, boys. Good to see you. Yeah, we're ringing in the new year with some good times here. So
some
I'm really
beer
pumped.
and sports.
Yeah, this could be a nice, if anybody's maybe missed out on a good thoughtful holiday gift, send them a link to our podcast for information and entertainment.
Ooh, that's even free. That's a great gift. You don't even have to pay for. That's our favorite kind. Torpedo, my guy, what's going on, brother?
Good. Beer and sports. Happy New Year, boys. Let's rock into it.
Do you guys do you have any fun New Year's resolutions? I don't. Keep my head above water.
Yeah, not fun ones. Like, good ones like mental health shit. And
yeah,
maybe I'm gonna run a little bit, but I'm
right there with you.
I feel like they're not usually meant to be very fun, It's like, I need to change this about myself.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. It's like, oh man, this part of me is shitty, so let's change it.
Well, let's drink about it, boys. Give me a countdown.
On that note, let's have a beer. I'm with you, Tommy.
Clearly, that's not our resolution.
Right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Cheers, fellas. Let's see. Cheers. I'll go first this time because why not? So I'm still ripping through that same brand of IPAs here, but since it is New Year's Eve and since I don't have to work the rest of today or tomorrow, I'm going to enjoy myself a nice double home style. This is an 8-9. So
Duple.
Yeah. We'll see how we're doing here. Tommy, what are you sucking on?
All the hot takes for Nige at the end of this pod. I have to shout out my cousin CJ. He hooked me up with some local Buffalo beers. So I got a Flats and Drums from Resurgence, local to Buffalo, and I'm freaking pumped. So cheers, CJ. Appreciate you. And go go Bills, go Sabres.
Staunch, baby. CJ and Sam staunch.
Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, nailed it. Crushed it.
That's how I like to do it. Jake, what are you drinking there, brother?
We saved the best for last today. I have a very fine Miller Lite.
Hell yeah.
So leftover in the fridge, basically water.
Hey,
sipping on that.
That's all right, dude. You don't waste beer. It just doesn't happen.
Exactly. So, boys, we have some exciting Bills stuff to get to, but we haven't done a little Sabres update in a while, and I want to do a positive update. Are you down, Nige? Can we do a little check-in?
Dude, I am. I don't know how much I'm gonna bite into this, but I'm ready to be a part of it.
I'm gonna paint you a picture. Okay, we're gonna do a little positive look at the Sabres. So, first of all, I want everybody to know that nobody, and I mean nobody, beats the Buffalo Sabres 14 times in a row.
Don't you forget it.
So since we podcast last, the Sabres were on a 13-game winless streak, and eventually it was snapped. So I think we should celebrate that. Crazy. I don't want to get into that. We could spend a full hour getting negative about their performance during that 13 games. Let's look past it. Since then, they've had 3 wins in a row, which is nice. Their fourth 3-game win streak of the year. They beat New York Islanders and the Chicago Blackhawks handily, 7-1 and 6-2. And then a little bit of a shaky win over St. Louis, but a win nonetheless, 4-2. Nigel, in that time, neither of those teams are world beaters, even St. Louis, and they looked pretty shaky in that win. But 3 wins in a row is still good to have. Obviously, like any thoughts from those games? Were you watching at home with your family?
Yeah, dude, I was watching as much as I could, and again, home for the holidays, so not totally glued. I had a brand new nephew to hang out with and all that stuff. So, but all that being said, I think my biggest takeaway from those 3 games, dude, is I mean, once again, dude, I specifically talk a lot about the eye test with hockey, right? And the eye test these last 3 games, for the most part, I felt like was a monstrous improvement over the games during that 13 game winless streak, particularly offensively, dude. I don't care how bad a hockey team is, scoring 13 goals in 2 games is unheard of. I mean, it just doesn't really happen, dude. To score 7 goals one game and 6 the next is bonkers. It says a lot. I think it just talks about the capabilities that your offense has, right? I think a couple really notable bright spots, to just kind of to piggy on the offensive play there. Jack Quinn seems to be finding his form again, from what I can tell. And then, brother, how long we've been sleeping on Yuri Kulik playing for the Sabres team. He looks fucking sensational. Pretty much single-handedly won that St. Louis game for us.
Yeah, agreed. Not that long, luckily. I mean, he's pretty young. So yeah, his emergence on the team is awesome to see.
Huge.
And dude, I think it speaks to the offense reviving a little bit. Small sample, of course, but they look a lot more like the team from 22-23. Really fast, like almost not a lot of structure. I want to say like very quick, creative, off the rush play. And the straw that stirred the drink of that team was the kid line, quote unquote. Quinn, Cousins, Peterka.
Yep.
That line's looked great the past couple of games, like 4, 5, 6 games. Quinn's had 8 points in his last 6 games. Cousins and Peterka have both kind of been humming with him. So, if you can have that second layer of offense going from a young line like that, you see what it can do. There's potential there. But
and Jake, I don't want to toot my own horn here, but I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit. What was I saying that the deal breaker for this team was going to be? There was 2 players in particular that I mentioned.
Second line center, Dylan Cousins, I think, was one of them.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then the other was Jack Quinn.
Yeah,
right. Like this team isn't gonna catch its stride. And I'm not 3 games in a row after a 13 game losing streak is not catching your stride. However, I don't think it's crazy that we've been on a 3 game win streak here, and all of a sudden we're also seeing that correlate with great play from Jack Quinn. And I think the third unsung hero there that I didn't mention is indeed Yuri Kulik. I think getting that extra support, because I think last game at least he centered the 3rd line, if I remember right, and McLeod shifted down to the 4th.
He did, yeah. So he's been playing with Benson and Krebs, I think, mostly down there.
Which I think that line has looked awesome.
It has, for sure.
It's a high energy line, dude.
And he's a big part of that. He looks a lot more comfortable. You're talking about the eye test. He looks a lot more settled, calm, collected. And dude, we saw it in the AHL. His shot. It's something. And he uses it a lot too. He's behind only Tage as far as generating shot attempts on net in the games that he's played. So
yeah. That's that fourth goal that he scored against Binnington of the Blues, dude. I mean, just absolutely. That was a young forward outsmarting a very veteran goaltender with Stanley Cup experience, right? Like, just absolutely waited for him to anticipate shooting to the opposite side of that crease, opened up a little bit in the 5-hole, and Kulik said, "Thank you very much," and let rip an unbelievable wrist shot for that 4th goal, dude. That highlight really got me going. So,
yeah, dude, snuck it through, sealed the game. I mean, massive,
huge.
So with that goal there, that's 5 goals for him in his last 10 games. He's 5th in the league in rookie goal scoring, and he's 1st in goals per 60. So, I mean, he's
like that.
We expected that when he came up. He's got a hell of a shot, and he's using it to success.
Yeah.
Back on the blue line, dude. I mean, Dahlin's absence.
Holy fuck.
I mean, and I think that's, we've torn Kevin Adams apart, but you're constructing a roster that really relies on a true linchpin on the back end. The team is 14, 13, and 2 with him. a fine record, but without him, they're 0-6-2 this year. I mean, he's a 5-on-5 monster. He's incredible back there. Nigel, I can't think of a better reason why they missed so many games, but it's good to have him back.
It is good to have him back. Yeah, and I believe it was 7 assists over the last 3 games, something like during that win streak there. So obviously Dolls is dealing. Yeah, we've seen a couple plays recently from the blue line, and I think Bowen Byram had one as well. But the last couple of games, dude, I'm seeing these slap passes from the blue line to these guys that are in front of the net. Dolls found, I can't remember who it was that he found for one of those. But or I think it was Zach Benson, maybe I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it was Benson.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I mean, but Dolls, dude, just like you just said, very clearly the straw that stirs this Buffalo Sabres drink, dude. I mean, and you've talked about in the past, Jake. You build your team from the goaltender out, right? And having UPL as a solid backstop, and then having I mean, a couple guys that should be linchpin guys like OP, Bowen Byram, and then Rasmus Dahlin, obviously a huge part to what this team needs to be able to do to be successful.
Absolutely. And the guys in the back end not named, those that you just did, Dahlin, Power, Byram, continue to trouble me a lot. I think they're propped up a whole lot by those guys, especially even Byram, I think, is kind of propped up by Dahlin's numbers. So I still have question marks about the acquiring him, but this is probably a conversation for later on in the year or the off season. But
yeah,
you mentioned UPL. His stats haven't been superb, but eye test wise, he has really kept them in some games where it could have gotten even uglier than it was.
Yeah,
maybe but like that St. Louis game, I thought he stole.
Oh, he was huge. He was huge in that game.
So massive. A lot of people were kind of doubting him early on in the year, like a couple bad games to start, but he's kind of had that pattern of shaky starts and then really locking in the past couple of seasons. So
yeah, and again, I think a huge one. Yeah, Flowers for sure. And again, I think that huge one is the eye test, like you said, dude. Like it's just, I mean, it's easy to look at numbers and be like, okay, he didn't save that much, but it's also, if you're watching these games, I mean, that St. Louis game, he was getting absolutely peppered, dude. So, yeah. I mean, yeah, huge game. It's probably fair to say that he did come pretty damn close to stealing that St. Louis game for us.
For sure. One other overarching thought before we get into other Billsy stuff. Detroit. There's been a lot of trade rumblings and scouts being seen at each other's games between the Red Wings and Buffalo. Looking at those rosters, man, you have to imagine that they're looking at a player like Dylan Cozens. There's been a lot of smoke around his name. However, on Detroit's roster, man, I'm looking at names like Larkin, full no trade clause. Mm-hmm. Looking at Raymond. I'm looking at Sider. Both of them signed long-term recently. Besides those guys, there's not a soul in that locker room that I want to trade for Dylan Cozens. So I don't think there's a good fit for any kind of big trade. What are your thoughts on all the noise around that?
You took the words right out of my mouth, dude. Detroit has 3 players that I give a shit about, and it's Dylan Larkin, it's Lucas Raymond, and it's Mo Sider. And you just said it, dude. They just extended Sider and Raymond to long-term deals. So those aren't like 3 years and done. They're inked for a minute. I don't remember what the AAV is. But and then same thing, dude. Dylan Larkin, complete full no trade movement or clause or whatever. So yeah, dude. I mean, here's what I think. It sounds like Detroit's pretty active in the market. I have a feeling they're looking to unload one of 2 guys, or both, Patrick Kane or Tarasenko is my thought, that they're trying to probably unload one of those guys. And there is no planet, particularly planet Earth, where I'm giving Dylan Cozens for one of those 2 guys that are both north of 30, right? I know Patrick Kane is. I think Tarasenko's well north of 32, right? So, or 30 yeah. As well, I should say. I don't know. I'm not saying he's 32.
They're similar ages, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But in any event, dude, I mean, DC is still, I think he's 24, I want to say. He's early to mid 20s. So those guys, and he's making less money than both those guys, I think. Definitely less than Patrick Kane. I'm 99.9% sure. So yeah, dude, there's no world here where I'm interested in any of those guys. I mean, if you want to discuss a trade for Patrick Kane that does not involve a Dylan Cozens and maybe like some assets or some picks or something, I'm willing to talk about it with you. But same. I'm not giving you Dylan Cozens for Patrick Kane.
That's a mismatch, and there's no basis that that is the kind of proposal out there or anything like that. But just from a hypothetical standpoint, yeah, totally agree with you, man. No shot.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that goes. But anyways, where we stand now, they've dug a huge hole. The Buffalo Sabres have in general. It's theoretically possible to dig out of. St. Louis dug out of it a long time ago and climbed their way back, but it is unlikely. We're both sick. We've talked about this. We have an illness in some way.
Mhm.
Always cling to hope. We'll see. However, if I'm going to continue to check the standings, they got to win at least 9 of their next 10, 11 games, something like that. And it's a tough road ahead, man. The next few games, all on the road. Dallas tonight, Colorado on Thursday, Vegas on Saturday. So
that's 3 cup contenders right there.
Easy cup contenders, yeah. They got their hands full, so
yeah,
we'll see.
We will see. Yeah, the one thing I'll say there is we've seen us come out hot against Colorado, and I do think the Vegas one always intrigues me a lot because of obviously the Jack Eichel situation. I do think that there is a major part of the guys on this team, particularly Krebs and Alex Tuch, who came from Vegas, that carry an extra chip on their shoulder when it comes to playing Vegas. So that game is always at least interesting for me to watch there. But yeah, dude, you just rattled off 3 teams that maybe not so much Colorado, but still 3 very good teams and 3 teams that in the last several years have undoubtedly had Stanley Cup expectations. So it is definitely a really tough stretch of the next couple games here on this West Coast trip. But, dude, it's also a great litmus test, dude, right? Like if you think you have a chance, go and fucking prove it against these teams.
Yeah. That's how you do it. Absolutely.
Exactly. And that's, brother, you paint a world where you win those 3 games. What does that do to the headspace of the guys in the locker room, especially the young guys? Right? Yeah. Like all of a sudden you're like, we can fucking play in this league. So
or you two right here in this locker room.
What does it do to my headspace, dude? Yeah, I'm getting the tattoo.
Yeah.
Buffalo Sabres 2025 Stanley Cup champs, dude. So yeah.
Anyways, folks, yeah, we'll continue watching.
Yes,
let's move on to our much more auspicious team going into the postseason here. Tom, take it away.
Yeah. Before we break, turn over to the Bills, I think we have to shout out the Buffalo Bandits. They on last week Saturday got to have their 2nd annual championship flag raising ceremony. So I think that's pretty freaking cool. We're not a Bandits podcast, but it's a Buffalo sports team here, and I think they absolutely need to be shouted out. And I think it's just another reason of why Buffalo is just the city of Buffalo is just voracious for a good sports team. They sell out the arena all the time. It's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. I feel pretty confident. Based on what I interpret just from being on Twitter and then knowing the little bit that I do about the lacrosse world, dude, it seems like everyone's expecting the Bandits to three-peat, which is crazy. But Tom, you touched on something that I think deserves a little bit of attention here. And there's been a lot of discussion on this podcast and every other Sabres podcast in the world about Terry Pegula selling the team. And I think one of the concerns that comes with that is, will they move? Does that mean that Buffalo loses its hockey town, or excuse me, its hockey team, right? And I feel pretty confident, dude. I don't think the NHL would ever let that happen. I think the city of Buffalo has proven year in and year out, even through this drought, that we are a hockey city, dude. This city loves its hockey team. Even when we're not in the playoffs, we're still in the top 3 for the television market in terms of areas that are watching the playoffs. And then we just saw it, dude. We came back from this Christmas break. The team wins one game. I saw
this post, yeah,
coming out of before the Christmas break. We come out of the Christmas break, and their first game, dude, is a Friday night at home, and the building is fucking sold out, dude. Can't fit another person in there with a crowbar. So I can lean more into Terry selling the team, because my fear was always, okay, if he sells it, dude, does the city of Buffalo lose their hockey team? I don't think we're gonna, dude. I don't think there's a world where the NHL allows that to happen. I think they see that for a smaller market, it's lucrative as all hell. as far as a market can go. So I think that's something that's worth mentioning. And just a shout out to Sabres fans, dude. We're all in it together, and it sucks, but man, when it eventually, we might all be dead, but eventually it's going to be good again. And my God, when it's good, it's going to be so good.
Agreed. Clamoring for a success story, and people will come back out to support it when they see it. But it comes up all the time when teams are sold, and even when teams aren't sold, about relocation. Like when Ottawa was going through transition from Melnyk to new ownership, there were rumors about them moving and all that kind of stuff. Didn't end up happening. It won't happen. Gary Bettman kept Arizona in Arizona for what felt like decades, despite lack of ownership and lack of interest and lack of funds, lack of everything. So yeah, no, from a business standpoint, there's no desire for them to move the team if it's sold. So yeah, that doesn't worry me too much.
The city would burn to the ground. Like it would be a problem.
It would be hard. Everybody would be so heartbroken, dude. Like everyone's pissed about how bad the team is right now. But if there was suddenly no team, I mean, dude, as much as, and I stand by this, dude, as much as the Bills, are a huge deal, Buffalo's a fucking hockey town, dude. I mean, I know Detroit likes to call themselves hockey town, but Buffalo is a hockey town, dude. This city eats, sleeps, and breathes the Sabres. I mean, the fact that they're selling any tickets at all, to me, is astounding. So that always is nice for me to remember that, like, there's no business, and hockey's a business first and foremost before it's anything else. There is no smart business decision to be made with taking away Buffalo's hockey team, which makes me always feel a lot better when with the discussion of selling the team comes up. So sorry to go on a tangent there, but I think it was worth mentioning. Shout out, Sabres fans. We are sick in the head, but we are different.
Well, you want to know who really should sell the team is Woody Johnson and the New Jersey freaking Jets. They just got
good correction.
Dismantled, like just embarrassed, walked out of town, like just put your tail between your legs, sent home. Just embarrassed. Win over the Jets. They suck so much. The Jets, Jets, sucks. They Bills won 40-14. It's really 40-0. Those 14 points were scored by Tyrod Taylor, and just the Bills gods allowed that to happen. And just so much fun. I gotta tell you, I watched that at a family party, and I love it when the Bills play really well at a family party, and I don't have to be stressed out and be a fucking weirdo. It's so much more fun. Yep. Right? It's so awesome. Just, oh no, wait a second. We're debating on like how cool Keon's touchdown catch was, or how cool Amari Cooper's touchdown catch was, as opposed to like, okay, what the hell are we gonna do here? So right. I think let's just have a little party here, boys. What's the fun stuff that came out of this game? Nigel, hit me with something that you really enjoyed.
I think the fun stuff for me, and this is, I don't know how fun this is, but it's encouraging to me because the Bills have shown that even while he's reacclimating, he's going to play, and that's Matt Milano. This was his last few games. I know he didn't play last week, but the last, I think, like maybe 2 games or so, started to look a little bit shakier, maybe looked a little bit slow. Instincts might not have been there completely, but I thought Matt Milano, and they weren't splash plays. Like, it's something that you're not going to notice unless you're watching a little bit of the film, dude. But Matt Milano just being Matt Milano was super encouraging for me to see. Obviously, we have Josh Allen things to be excited about, but we all know that Josh Allen is going to be great. And I'm looking for the little things that are going to start to lead us to that next spot, especially with the playoffs coming up here. And Matt Milano getting back to form is definitely high on that list. And he had several plays there, particularly in the run game defensively, where he looked like Matt Milano, shedding blocks, filling the gap, making a great tackle, wrapping up. So that was really good for me to see. Still some missed tackles and stuff from him, still not like perfectly there. But yesterday was super encouraging for me with Matt Milano. I thought he had a really good game against the Jets.
Totally, I agree. Missed tackles is kind of part of his game, right? Right. That's kind of part of the bag.
To a game,
like, right? At least it's not that it's uncharacteristic,
Yeah.
So
for sure,
yeah.
That might have been a boring one, but
that's good. Ready? My fun one is record book. You ready?
Yes,
we
sir.
have like 6 to talk about, boys. This is really fun. So first off, Josh Allen has now tied Thurman Thomas. What position does he play?
Let's see. Josh Allen is a quarterback.
Yep. And Thurman Thomas is
running back.
Thank you. All right. Hall of Fame running back. For the most rushing touchdowns in franchise history at 65. So Josh is going to rewrite that, and it's never being touched. Josh also became the first player in NFL history with 40-plus touchdowns in 5 consecutive seasons. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm pretty sure he's done it in 16 games every time. I don't think this 17-game garbage can be included. I'm pretty sure he's done it in 16.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, sensational, right? It just speaks to the dual threat ability. I mean, when you have a quarterback that is athletic as Josh Allen is, right? Meaning with his legs, can run, make guys miss. I mean, we've seen him, make 40-yard runs for a touchdown and also be as strong as he is to get over the goal line on QB sneaks. Add into that recipe a guy with a rocket launcher of an arm that truly there is no, as we saw with that Keon Coleman touchdown, there is no area of the football field that is inaccessible for Josh Allen. At any given point, if you're looking 50 to 60 yards down the field from east to west, that area is all accessible. There's nothing he can't reach. So when you combine that with the athleticism and the legs and the strength, I mean, it's still incredible, but it's like, I'm not even that shocked. You see it every year from this guy.
Yeah. How many years do you think he's got? I bet it's like a nice 7 or 8. I think that'd be, and then at year 9, maybe it's 38 touchdowns.
40 in a row?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, because
right?
we're seeing all we're seeing is the addition of a more mature football game.
Right.
Right.
Smart,
like he's not
efficient.
old enough where we're seeing a massive decline in athletic ability or anything like that. I would say another 5 to 6 years is absolutely possible. Why not?
Totally. Yeah, why not? Amari Cooper has surpassed 10,000 career receiving yards. So that's pretty cool. It's 57 wide receivers in an entire NFL history has ever done that. So and he's on our team, right? It's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Hopefully maybe he's around more in the future and we can talk about that hopefully in March. Von Miller has passed Ricky Jackson for number 16 in NFL's all-time sack list at 128. So pretty cool. That's pretty freaking cool. He's looking good. I can't wait to talk about him in a couple minutes here, but I think we're going to see an unleashed Von Miller in the postseason. He's been kind of held back a little bit. I'm excited for that. The Bills also in 16 games have scored 63 touchdowns, the most in team history. They have scored the most The Bills have scored the most points in franchise history with 509, surpassing 501 by Josh Allen in 2020. And the Bills now have 13 players with a touchdown this season, tied for the most of all time in NFL history. So
wow,
no way.
Yep,
that's a crazy one.
Yeah. Tyrell Shavers put him over the edge.
Awesome.
I just I don't want to hear anything about Josh Allen not making breaking the record books, playmaker, MVP talk. I don't want to hear it. I don't it's every week we have a list of 5 or 6 things that he's done. It's insane. So
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
crazy.
All right. We're gonna need an encyclopedia for this.
Should we have I'm going to use the word objective here because I think it bears mentioning. Should we have an objective conversation about this MVP situation?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right now.
Okay.
What I want to do is have a conversation of what are the requirements? What are the qualifiers? Right?
Yes.
I think
so
my biggest issue with this conversation right now, because it's just just the worst of the worst on the Twitter sphere. What it actually is, what are the requirements for the NFL MVP? Because it feels like it's moved. It's every year we're looking at something different, and what should actually be the measurement?
Yeah. So, and this is the MVP so the criteria for the MVP is quite literally what player had the most valuable season. What does valuable season mean? I interpret this, right? And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I interpret that as the performance that season that was most important to that team's success, right?
Yes.
What was it the primary driving factor of that team's success, right? And I think at this point, we can I think this is objectively true. We can boil this conversation down now to Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I think it's between those two guys.
Don't forget about Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I guess. Fuck. What are his numbers like?
I said it tongue in cheek, but yeah, they're pretty nice. They're arguably better than both Allens and Jacksons.
Yeah, but
Sorry,
okay.
I didn't mean to derail you. I'm sorry.
No.
I totally agree with you. It's between Lamar Jackson. And
Yeah, and it is worth, but it's like okay, but it's like it still invites the debate a little bit, right? I think Sam Darnold's maybe like his resume as a whole probably goes against him a little bit here because he's been dog shit until about 4 months ago.
But
so
it's a season award.
It is
I
a season
agree
award.
with
I
you
know,
in
I
that
know.
message, but it shouldn't. It should be based on the season.
It shouldn't, but the people that are voting are still human beings. I think.
Well, I think that's why we need to boil it down to what should the requirements be, right?
Well,
I agree with you that they probably are looking at stuff like they do take that into account, but I think that's my problem with this conversation right now.
Okay, so then let's if we boil it down to its most basic thing, it like I just said a minute ago, it should be whose performance was the most valuable to their team's success. Or another way to think about that, what player lifted those around him, right? To like was the driving factor behind their performance being solid too, right? And I think, okay, so let's talk about Sam Darnold for a second. I mean, hello, Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL when it's not even close, right? Okay, and we lost our number one and our number two, if you want to talk about the depth chart this season, right? So that in and of itself, add into the fact that they've also got Aaron Jones, who's a sick running back, Jordan Addison, who's a monster, right? Like Sam Darnold's doing a lot with a lot.
No, totally.
Right? Let's talk about Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson's numbers are insane. Tom, who's his running back?
Sir Derrick Henry.
And I think that conversation starts and stops there.
Yeah.
Because Derrick Henry is sniffing 2,000 yards this season. James Cook, I think, maybe hit 1,000 last week.
Nope, he's 16 yards shy.
16 yards shy. Okay, so and I know he's got a shit ton of touchdown productions. I think he's actually first in the NFL in touchdown production. But that
which Josh didn't score, right? What if Josh ran in half of those?
By the way, so and my argument would then let's go back to the beginning of the season, right? What was everybody saying about Josh Allen and the Bills? Everybody was saying that it's a step back season, right? This will be the worst season that they've had with Josh Allen as the quarterback. It's a reset. You got to get through the dead cap money from Steph Diggs, and then you can look to take steps forward again, right? Josh Allen's receiving core consists of Khalil Shakir going into the season, right? So that's not, we'll discard Amari Cooper for right now, but even right now, like in the grand scheme of the NFL landscape, where are you putting Amari Cooper? I mean, does he snip the top 15? I don't know, maybe.
Top 24. Yeah, I'd say wide receiver too.
Right? So
yeah.
So you got Khalil Shakir, Matt Collins, rookie Keon Coleman, who everybody was shitting on us for that pick because nobody thought he was going to be any good, right? You do draft for Amari Cooper, which is awesome. You've got Dawson Knox and you've got Dalton Kincaid, right? Find me another team that's got a receiving core, as far as the MVP conversation, that has a receiving core that is that bad or worse. You can't. And then you add into the fact that Lamar Jackson has Derrick goddamn Henry as his running back. Derrick Henry was the one that beat the Buffalo Bills. It wasn't Lamar Jackson. Derrick Henry is opening up a lot for Lamar Jackson. I would go as far as to say, if you had to pick an MVP for the Ravens, you can make a case that it's Derrick Henry. Because is Lamar Jackson as good as he is without Derrick Henry? The answer is no, he is not. I rest my case.
I like it. Hey man, that's yeah. I'm gonna give you some space here. I'm gonna give you a little golf clap.
I think Lamar is the offensive player of the year, no questions asked. His stats are crazy. I don't think his stats look like that without Derrick Henry.
Right. I think another big thing. So for me, there's a couple different pieces that kind of come into the equation, and I think it needs to be kind of readjusted for these voters. There's three primary kind of attributes and then two secondary ones. It's team success, so it's record, right? Right now the Bills are, what are we, 13-3, right? And the Ravens are something. Can't remember. if anybody could look that up, that'd be great. I think it should be also personal player stats, volume versus play stats, like per play stats. At the moment, Josh has sat out essentially in a full entire game. He's rested 4 quarters worth of time. So, right at some point, volume he doesn't have to. He just the Bills, the defense and the offense have been able to work together in conjunction and set up this team where, like, all right, we're gonna send in Mitch Trubisky and have him bring this ship home. And I also think marquee wins and plays are the ones that are also going to be ones that help set an MVP apart. Who are you winning against? We've beaten both the number one seed on both sides of both conferences. We've beaten the Chiefs handedly. We've beaten the Lions handedly in marquee wins in primetime games. And Josh Allen was the reason we won for both of those games. Plays of the year, Josh has 5 of them. He has an entire Rolodex. Right? Nobody like what else do you want? I think then some secondary attributes into this MVP conversation is very similar to what Nigel was saying, is the weapons around them, right? Who's their supporting cast? And then lastly, strength of schedule of who are you playing against? Who are you winning against? And currently, I can't remember, I don't have the stat in front of me, but the Bills have one of the toughest strength of schedules this season. So they're as successful as they are against really great competition. And I think all of those put together start to kind of make this conversation pretty clearly in a Josh Allen conversation.
Yeah, Tom, just to piggyback there. So the Ravens are 11-5, and the losses that they have are to the Chiefs, the Raiders, the Browns, the Steelers, and the I don't know, someone else. Sorry, I lost it.
Oh, that's okay.
Those aren't exactly, like, some of those are great teams, of course, but the Raiders are what, 3-13 or something like that.
Yeah, in competition for the number 1 pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and we lost to Houston, the Ravens, right? Two great teams there, Ravens included. They're a great team, and then the Rams, where I think we just laid an egg that game. Right? Like, I mean, we've seen the Rams,
game of their life.
Right? Yeah, we've seen the Rams go on to their next couple of games after that were I mean, I think they won one of them or whatever, but they were clunkers.
Yeah.
Like they were like tied with the Jets through a half of football. So dude, I don't know. I mean, I think the fact and the strength of schedule for the Bills is kind of an interesting one, because going into this season, I think it was a scarier looking schedule than what it ended up being. But like, the Dolphins were a fraction of what they're supposed to be. The Jets look like they could be playing in the Big 12 right now. I'm not sure they're an NFL quality team. And that like the 49ers, a shell of what they should have been. So I think going into this season, the Bills' strength of schedule did a little bit more for them than it does now. But dude, you got wins against the Lions and the Chiefs, right? Where Josh Allen was, like Tom said, imperative in both of those games. So I don't know, dude. It's just not even a discussion for me. Truly, in my honest opinion, it literally starts and stops at Derrick Henry. You're talking about one of the best running backs of the last 15, 20 years. You know? And he's still playing at a high. And especially with the way that Lamar runs, like half of their success comes from the run pass option game, right? And the play action. You know, that play action is a shell of what it is without Derrick Henry. Like it has, like, dude, their play action game with J.K. Dobbins was a fucking joke because nobody was afraid of J.K. Dobbins, you know, or Gus Edwards. So, you know, that's why it's difficult for me to look at Lamar as the MVP, because he's got the best probably the best, maybe Christian McCaffrey, whatever, top 3 running back of the last 10 years. But
pure running back, like Derrick Henry has that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Exactly.
And to kind of put a bow on all this, I think my big thing is it also why I'm not sure why the fan bases are tearing both players down, Bills Mafia included, going 100%. After Lamar, right? So we are as guilty of this, but I think we have to remember that these are 2 amazing players that we get to watch every single week. And there's no reason to, just because one is successful doesn't take away the success of the other. I think that conversation has gotten just to be, hey, we're just going to start, spitting on each other and throwing things at each other and just trying to just tear each other down. And that's to me, that shouldn't be the conversation. So anyway,
it is a very go ahead, Jake.
It's this is at the end of the day, this is fucking meaningless. This is a gold star to put on your shirt. Like
neither of these
cares?
guys give a shit about the MVP award. All they care about is wearing the Super Bowl champ hat at the end of the season.
100%. If either of these teams loses in the first round, do you think either quarterback or fan base gives a fuck if they have the MVP on their team? No, absolutely not. You're going to be pissed off about the season. But if you go to win the Super Bowl, then yeah, who cares if you won the MVP? So I just don't see why people are so like up in arms about it. And like you said, tearing each other down.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Well, okay. Whew, that was good. Nice work, boys. Good job.
Got that off my chest.
I think one other big talking point about this Bills Jets game that we can take away instead of going into kind of some of the nitty gritty. I loved seeing the defense get back to their splash play, turnover making selves. And that's the way that this team is going to be successful in the postseason. This team, if we don't have those turnovers and we don't have those flash plays, I think we're a middle of the pack defense. I don't think we can make much noise without that. Thank God we have the highest turnover differential in the league and with some of the most potent playmakers on the defense. So I think what this game has shown to me, like, hey, this team is still capable of that. We haven't really seen this kind of turnover and splash play making in the last few games. However, that's reassured me, like, hey, that's the way that this team has success in the postseason. It's not from sound, consistent defense. It's from, hey, we need to. I trust them. I'm sure I'm better on short and third and short than third and long every day of the week. You know, I think we really need to see this defense turn up the playmaking abilities for them to be able to kind of hold up their end of the bargain and let Josh Allen go out and win games this postseason.
Yeah, we love the splash plays, right? The splash plays are super fun. They're exciting. You know, and anytime you're getting the ball back into Josh Allen's hands, that's something that's really, 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 really good. I will be honest, I am petrified about that being the recipe for success with the offense, right? Because that, I mean, while you can argue that the Bills force mistakes, I think that recipe is dependent on mistakes from the other team, right? And that is what scares me, because right now the process play to play for this Bills team on defense is concerning. It's concerning.
Not so
to
good.
Me, dude. Yeah, and I don't know, like, maybe some of that has to do with the fact that DeMar Hamlin's not playing right now. You know, I'm not exactly sure what it is. Call it a new defensive coordinator. But man, like, there were still some film highlights, and I'm sure you saw a couple of them too, Tom, that were just nothing short of concerning, and particularly in the secondary, man. Like, guys running into each other, you know, miscommunications, two guys doing the job of one guy, you know, not knowing what their responsibility was in that moment. And like I can think back to a game against the Jets where there was a moment where I think it was Terrell Bernard and Taron Johnson, if I remember right, both made the same play to cover the guy in the flat, and then the tight end was able to leak out. And thankfully, Aaron Rodgers just fucking missed him, because Aaron Rodgers is absolutely washed up, dude. But you know who's not missing that throw and it is a touchdown? Lamar Jackson, or anybody else that we're going to play in the playoffs.
Yep.
So like the shit like that, dude, like, I'm still nervous about this defense, dude, because I don't believe a sustainable recipe for success is counting on splash plays and turnovers. I think you need to have that consistency, play to play, and I don't know, man. I remain super nervous about this defense, to be completely transparent.
I think you're entirely justified. I think that's going to be the crux of this postseason. Can this defense maintain their playmaking prowess, or are they going to be had in some of these moments and not be able to force mistakes and play against some of these really high executing and really talented offenses with really amazing players at quarterback? Like, yeah, that's going to be the thing that's going to make or break this postseason.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we've seen them do it in all these big games. We've seen them do it against Detroit and Kansas City and all these other places. Like, we've seen them do it. So it's not like it's, hey, we're hoping this can happen for the first time this season. But that's gonna be a big deal. So yeah. And let's find out.
I think the splash plays, and maybe I think these go in tandem with the pressure from the front four.
Yeah.
Right. Like, are we able to contain these quarterbacks? Not only contain, but get some pressure, because it's a lot of the time it's that pressure that leads to turnovers.
Right.
Right. And thankfully, this defense is also constantly gunning for fumbles.
Right.
Right. I mean, somebody gets the ball in their hands on the other team, and all of a sudden the entire secondary turns into Mike Tyson.
Yeah, homing missiles. Like, it's crazy. Yeah. And which makes me excited to see Von Miller has been playing really well. He's been playing really effectively. He's on a per snap basis, he's one of the most efficient and effective defensive line players in the league right now. He doesn't have the volume stats. He's only playing 10 to 15 snaps a game. Like, he's in on third down on obvious passing plays. That's when he's being used. But he's looking good when he does it. So I'm excited. I wonder, and I honestly would be very surprised if he's not utilized a little bit more in the postseason of like, all right, we're gonna let you off the leash a little bit and let you go in and go ahead and make some plays. So I'm hoping that he can kind of lead the way. Groot has been, has just been amazing. How about that? He sniffed out what kind of I was a sideways pass over to Ramondre, right?
Yeah. There was the screen there that was going to go to Devontae Adams, and we got a little bit of help from the right tackle on that play because he did not take the right pass protection set there. So like in a quick screenplay like that, it's really important that offensive tackles like sets real quick and gets hands on that defensive end, right? And instead that bozo turned a 45-degree step, opened himself up, which allowed Groot, being the freak that he is, to just stick a paw out and bat that ball easily and, get Big Phil an INT there, which is super fun. But yeah, dude, I would agree with that. I think when Von Miller is in, he looks great, except for the contain. If he is going to get those extra snaps, which I'm down for because he still might be our best pass rusher, I need him to contain, dude. If you're not going to get there, stay in your lane because, again, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Bo Nix, these guys getting out of the pocket, dude, and off to their throwing side, just like we see Josh Allen do, it's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. We'll have to see, right? This is it. We'll have to see. This is it. So, anything else you want to touch on this Jets game, or should I move ahead?
We can move ahead. I'm not even sure. I mean, nobody's going to play. Josh Allen's going to play for a minute Sunday to keep his streak intact, and then we can, if there's stuff you want to mention, let her rip, dude, but I could give a shit about this game.
I think that's exactly, you summed it up very, very succinctly, very, very eloquently. Nice job, Mel.
Thank you.
The Bills are playing at New England, in Foxborough on Sunday at 1 p.m. And it is kind of a little bit of a throwaway game. The Bills are locked into the 2 seed. We can't change that. So at this point, this is going to be essentially our bye week, resting most starters. Josh Allen is going to start briefly to maintain his starting streak. And the other side of this is the Patriots are in the front runners for the number 1 overall pick. If they win, they kind of screw that up. So 100%. I don't know, like, how motivated are they going to be? I don't know. But again, like nobody's sandbagging in the NFL, right? That's not going to happen. These players still want to go out and win. They're still going to go out and do really well. So my big thing is let's get out of this one healthy. Win or lose doesn't really matter, right? Just get home healthy. It matters to my record prediction from the beginning of the season, but that's just personal. Let the coaching staff see these different depth combos. Are there any depth players you're interested in getting a little bit of a look at?
I think for me, it really comes. Javon Solomon is a guy that I'm interested to see get a little bit more run. I'm hoping that on Sunday he gets to, maybe be the third defensive end or maybe even start, given the fact that it is indeed a throwaway game. There is nothing. The only possible negative that can come out of this game for the Bills is injuries.
Yeah.
Right. So, you can't. I mean, I would be in favor of call up the entire practice squad if you could. I mean, that's where I'm at with this game. Yep. Just get out of it healthy, dude. But I think I would love to see a little bit more run from Javon Solomon. There's a couple secondary guys like Kareem Jackson I would love to see get a little bit of run in the secondary there, see what he can do. Those are the guys that jump out to me really quick. Maybe Cole Bishop, get some run there.
I want to see Tyler Grable get back because he's been on IR a bunch of this season. Let him get some run. He was flashing quite a bit in the preseason, so
he was.
I think he's going to have some future on this offensive line.
But nothing crazy, dude. Just get out of there healthy. That's
nothing stupid.
Do the very best that you can to use this as a legitimate bye week.
Yep, totally agree. So,
I think that's it, dude.
That being said, score predictions don't matter, so we're not doing them to this week. Some just other interesting things to look at. The remaining games this weekend for playoff seeding, there's opportunities for the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Bengals to all land that 7th seed. Right now, it's definitely in the Broncos' favor, but there's a path for the Dolphins or the Bengals to get there. The Bengals are the least likely, just they have the least opportunity and they need the most help to get there, but it's all possible. So those will be some fun games to pay attention to and see what happens. For me, at this point, I'm not scared of anybody. Like, we just need to go in, whoever we get, whoever we roll, whoever we pull in that wild card round and hopefully beyond, we just got to go in and take care of business. Like, thankfully, we know we're going to have at least one home game in the playoffs, hopefully 2. And then who knows? You know, we possibly, as being the 2nd seed, we could get a 3rd if something happens with Kansas City. But I'm ready. Let's just bring whoever you can and whatever you got, and we'll handle it.
Hell yeah, dude. This will be our last pod before we are prepping for the playoffs.
Ooh, dude, how fun!
I just got stressed out, dude.
I got goosebumps. Yeah, I know. Let's fucking just soak that in.
Dude,
here we go.
Man, it's just such a volatile sport, dude.
Yeah,
it's so any given Sunday. That's why that saying exists, dude. Any given Sunday or Saturday, because playoffs.
Oh boy, yeah, right. How many games did you watch this past weekend? I watched as many as possible.
If it was on the TV, I had eyes on it.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was so much fun. Well, folks, thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate you. Freaking go Bills, go Sabres. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for spending some time with us. Please give us a like and a follow on Instagram, X, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Let's Go Buff Pod. These are my pals, Jake and Nigel. My name is Tom, and you're listening to the Let's Go Buffalo podcast. We're sending you love wherever you are. Go Bills, go Sabres, let's go Buffalo.